Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and I'm doing this video because I've been getting a whole lot of angry messages, shall we say, on YouTube. Angry messages saying, because I stated that the Polish woman who claims she might be Madeleine McCann and is just asking for a DNA test, that I am being cruel to the woman. I'm cold-hearted and unfeeling, that the woman, she just wants to find out who she is, and she's been abused in her life. And she, even if she's not Madeleine McCann, she has, some, serious things that have happened to her, emotional problems. So how can I be such a nasty human being? All right, let me explain to you why, as a profiler, I'm being very, very vocal about this particular incident. All right, let me start with, and I'm going to do a comparison. This is Sherri Papini, who went missing while she was jogging in 2016 in Redding, California. She was gone for 3 weeks. She reappeared and with chains on her, claiming she had been kidnapped by, I think, a couple of Hispanic women and kept in captivity, and she had been tortured and brutalized, and she even had it, they tattooed her somehow. And then she comes home. After 3 weeks, she's found on the side of the highway, looking for help. Please save me. All right. That's the basic story of Sherri Papini, except for the fact that later on it was found it was a total hoax, and now she's in prison. Okay. When this case came out, when she first disappeared, I said, I'm having trouble believing that she's been kidnapped. And I got a lot of angry people. Like, how can you say that? Clearly she's missing and there's evidence that something happened on the side of the road. And I said, yes, but there's things that just don't add up to me. I'm not saying she hasn't been kidnapped, but I'm just on the fence there. When she came back and I found out the details that she had told the police, I immediately went forth and said, she's lying. This is a hoax. She's absolutely lying. I believe she's a psychopath. I believe she's displaying Munchausen syndrome, which is something very common to female psychopaths, where in order to gain attention, they will do things to themselves, or they claim other people have done things to them. And in this particular case, her claim was she was kidnapped and held captive. And when I came out after she was found, before they had any charges against her, I came out and gave my statement that I thought it was a hoax. And I got the hate. How can you say that? This poor woman, she's been brutalized. She wouldn't have done this, And I kept saying, as a profiler, I'm looking at evidence and I'm saying, I think it's a hoax. It turned out to be a hoax. And now she is in prison. She's not in prison long enough, in my opinion. I think she got like 18 months. I think she should have gotten 10 years. But she'll be out pretty soon. And what will happen then? Well, let me go forth and explain why someone would do this, because we're getting the same question here. Why would this Polish woman go out to the public begging for help to get a DNA test, claiming that she doesn't claim she's Madeleine McCann. She claims she believes she's Madeleine McCann. She's quite clever, actually. She says, I believe I'm Madeleine McCann. There's things wrong in my life. Stories, I don't remember my early childhood. The stories from my family don't add up. And she claims she was abused by Peter Ney, who's supposedly a son or whatever, of Martin Ney, who was a suspect in the Madeleine McCann case. I mean, she's got a bunch of stuff. And when she wrote to me and she emailed me, and when I started reading her emails, I thought this was a hoax, and I asked her specific questions, which she dodged and couldn't come up with decent answers. And then I did my show on this, and I said, it's a hoax. She's a scammer. And she reminds me a lot of Sherri Papini. And if I'm correct that she's a scammer, this is a big hoax, then I would also say she's likely a psychopath. And she's likely displaying Munchausen syndrome, the same as Sherri Papini. She seeks attention, and she seeks attention by claiming things have happened to her. People are doing things to her. And so there's a similarity in these two. And of course, when I came out and said I thought she's a scammer, boom, I got the hate again, that I'm being cruel and cold-hearted. Now, let's talk about who's cruel and cold-hearted. All right. Let's talk about what happened with Sherri Papini. I'm going to talk about why she did what she did, how it affected the community and the police, and how it's going to end up in the future. All right. First of all, when she had herself disappear, her family, her children lost their mother. They thought their mother had been kidnapped. What kind of person does that kind of a cruel thing to their own children? Her husband thought she was kidnapped. He was also beside himself. Then the community, thinking she had been kidnapped. Oh my God, she was out. I know she's out and about, and suddenly she gets grabbed. Oh my God, what if I go out on my bicycle, I take a walk or go jogging? Will I too be grabbed? They think there's a serial killer out there. And so the whole community was on edge. Meanwhile, the police have to put a tremendous amount of manpower and money into searching for Sherri Papini. Lots and lots of time. And while they're doing that, there are real victims out there who are not getting any help. They're not having the police put effort into their case because, oh my gosh, now we got to find Sherri Papini. Then when Sherri Papini returns, and she tells a story that 2 Hispanic women kidnapped her. So now the Hispanic community has been slandered. And so people are looking out going, oh, maybe this, the Hispanic community in our area, maybe they're part of the cartel, and all that started. Then there was the claim that, she had been kidnapped into sex trafficking. No, she's in her 30s. Sex traffickers don't kidnap 30-some-year-old moms off the street. They don't do that, So they're going to look for young ones, not her. So that's nonsense too. So then people are all worried about sex trafficking. Finally, it turns out to be a hoax, and they prove it's a hoax. Now, mind you, all this time, the police have had to do all the investigations after she arrived home to find out whether it was a hoax or it wasn't a hoax. Then when it does turn out to be a hoax, now there has to be a prosecution. So now there's lots of money going into that as well. Meanwhile, her own family, her husband and kids, know that Sherri is a big fat liar, and she put them all through hell. For what? All right? For what? Now I'm going to tell you for what. Because she loves attention. And her family said, as she was growing up, and especially into her late teenage years and into her 20s, she played these games. They weren't surprised by that, finding out that it was a hoax, because they said she'd done stuff like this before. Smaller versions, but she'd done this kind of thing before. This is a symptom of, or a behavior, shall I say, not a symptom, because psychopathy isn't a disease. Psychopathy is a personality disorder, but a behavior of often female psychopaths is this Munchausen syndrome, where in order to gain attention, they claim things. They can hurt themselves. They can go to the doctor and say they're sick when they're not. They can tell people they have a brain tumor when they don't. They can claim they have been raped. Now, sometimes when a person does false report to the police, like false report a rape, for example, and not only does that take up police time, but it also accuses another human being of committing a horrible crime. And in my opinion, all false reporters who are proven to be false reporters ought to get a lengthy prison sentence. The runaway bride, same thing. She ran away and was finally found. She got a little slap on the wrist and a teddy bear. That's wrong, because it encourages other false reporters. It's not enough punishment. So you go and you lie like that, especially to law enforcement, and you set off a whole huge investigation. Takes up tremendous time and money. You should have to pay for that. And if you accuse anybody of doing anything along the way, you should have to pay for that too. She did pay for it a little bit with her very short sentence, in my opinion. And so now you're going to say, well, okay, she has paid for it, so we should forgive her now. I'm going to swear there's going to be a book coming out. My story, Sherri Papini, my story. And guess what? All you soft-hearted folks out there, and I love you. It's nice to be soft-hearted, but please don't be fools. Don't be taken by scammers. Please stop and realize that there are people out there who do these kind of things. she puts her book out there or starts doing television shows and saying, you know, I was in a place in my life and I lost control and I felt like I just couldn't, my mind went. And people say, see, she just has some real serious emotional problems. No, she's a psychopath. And she's always going to be one. And she'll play you and she'll play you and she'll play you. So when she gets out of prison, I would not be surprised. She's going to benefit in some way from what she did. She'll play this game. She'll just change the game, but she'll play it on into the future. All right. Now let's go to her competitor, fake Polish woman who claims she might be Maddie McCann. I have to say this, and if you're asking why I don't use her name or put up her adult picture, because I don't want to give her that publicity. Sorry, not doing it. I want you to know what she is and what other people like her are. She did something very clever, which may benefit her more than Sherri Papini's little venture. She did not file a false police report. She doesn't even say she is Madeleine McCann. Well, she does. One of her at I am Madeleine McCann. She is kind of pushing it, but she says, I think I could be Madeleine McCann. So since she hasn't filed a false police report, she hasn't actually used police time at this point. She's gone to the police and they've told her to go sod off because they don't think she's Madeleine McCann and they don't want to waste their time. Maybe they did listen to her short story the same way I did. I sent up a few emails back and forth and I said, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Go away. I'm sure the police did that the same way. They're like, we're not buying your story. It's not holding water. And I'll link the one below I did as to why her story doesn't hold water. It's below. Now, so she's not at this point up for any criminal charges. So she hasn't wasted police time. So I'm glad about that. But, okay, let me go to why she would do this, first of all. Same reason she did this. Her family now states she's had behavioral problems for a long time. She's manipulated for a long time. They've taken her to therapists and nothing's worked. That's probably because she may be a psychopath and she may be displaying Munchausen syndrome, which means she is trying to get attention to herself all the time. And if one thing doesn't work to get attention, she tries something else to get attention. Supposedly she claims or wants to be a model. She claims to be a musician or wants to be a musician. She's got these things on social media. And I guess she wasn't getting very successful. Maybe she should go to OnlyFans. That might work. But she wants more. She wants more attention. Now she's found this way. So she comes up with this idea. She puts it out there. And now supposedly she has 1 million followers. You know? And considering all the hate mail that I've gotten, she's got a lot of supporters. Oh dear, you know. She says I was abused, and everybody's like, well, see, she was abused. I'm like, that's just something she says. That doesn't mean it's true. And people say, well, what proof do you want that she was abused? Well, let's put it this way: it's not a matter of I want proof that she's been abused. I want proof that when she says she's been abused by somebody specifically connected to this case. The question is, were you even alone with this person long enough to be abused by them? And of course, again, we still don't even know if it's true. And even if you've suffered some abuse in your life, it doesn't mean that you forget your entire childhood and that you think you're Madeleine McCann, especially when your family is there and you have pictures of yourself all the way through your life. And you've never been disguised as anybody but yourself. So, and you've gone to school. So none of this makes any sense. So even if you had abuse, I'm sorry, this isn't really explaining why you're the way you are. Now, do sometimes people have attachment disorder and early childhood abuse? Do they turn out to be psychopaths? Sometimes they do. But most of the time, they just turn out to be people who have to struggle with certain issues in their life and work on that. And I support those people for trying to move on and trying to do what they can. But at this point, there's no proof that she was abused. So you're just believing that because she says that. She says there's no birth certificate. Well, she says that. Doesn't mean there isn't one. She says that, that there's no proof of her early childhood. She says that. There's no proof that that's true. She says a lot of things that you have no idea if they're true or they're not true. Okay. So you're believing her story, right? But her story doesn't actually hold water. So then you say, well, what is she getting out of it? She's getting your sympathy. She's getting you to believe in her. She's got tons of people now going, I hope you find out if you're Madeleine or not. Now, some people say, well, Pat, why are you so cold about this? Why don't you just she should just go ahead and get that DNA test. Why can't you just think she should get the DNA test? Why not? Well, okay, I'll tell you this. You may not know this, folks. Nobody does until this moment, but I am the love child of President Joe Biden. Yes, I am. I know I am because my grandmother once said something, and I thought, oh my God, my mother was like she hooked up with Joe Biden for a very short period of time in Delaware somewhere, and she would never show me my birth certificate, and so I think I'm not going to say I'm the love child of Joe Biden, but I'm going to say I believe I am. So therefore, President Joe Biden ought to do a DNA test for Pat Brown, even though I presented no evidence whatsoever. Should I go make myself an account? I am Joe Biden's daughter account? Or should I do that and then beg for DNA? I could do that, but then you would say that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There are other people other women have also come forward and said they thought they were Madeleine McCann. She just came forth with a very clever social media blitz. And that's why she's getting all this attention. And the major media has picked up the stories. So she's getting exactly what she wants. Massive amount of attention. Now, so do I think she should get the DNA test? No. I don't think we owe her that. Just because she wants to peddle a ridiculous story doesn't mean the police or the McCanns or anybody has to honor her little wish. I'm sorry, no. Now, let's assume it goes ahead and DNA is found. The DNA is done. Either her parents give up DNA to prove that she is their child. Now, supposedly, we're hearing that her parents are refusing to do the test. I don't know if that's true or not. That's coming from her, I think it's her private investigator / psychic. I don't know. Maybe they're so freaking fed up with her that they don't want to honor her either. They're like, darn well you're our kid, and we're not going to go out in public and play this game for you. We're not going to do it. Maybe they're just fed up. They say she says they disowned her and their boyfriend dumped her. Maybe because they all know something, because they've seen so much of this before, and now she's just done it. Now she's gone across that edge, and they're not going to put up with it. That's a possibility. It's also possible they did say they'd do it, and she's actually not allowing it to be done. Who knows? It's all behind the scenes right now. But all right, so let's assume at some point the McCanns actually give this DNA up and it doesn't match. Oh, what a surprise. Doesn't match. Now people will say, well, then see, she gets to find out whether she is or she isn't. And what kind of, I'm sure she wouldn't have just done this for no reason, so and it's going to make her humiliated if she finds out she's not Madeleine McCann after she's gone all over the place saying she is, I think she is. No. You see, you don't understand how the game is played. When that DNA comes back, if anybody does the test, and I guarantee, I would bet my house, whatever, on it, okay, it'll come back and it won't match. And she will go, oh no, it doesn't match. I can't believe it. I'm so sure I was Madeleine McCann. Oh my God, now I don't know who I am now. And guess what? All the folks that have been hating on me and saying I should be compassionate will go right to her and say, oh, you poor dear, yeah, you're not Madeleine McCann, but something must have happened to you. That nasty man who abused you, he took away your childhood. Your parents are still lying to you. And it'll go on, and she will milk the crap out of it. She's going to win big time, because then once she's got her face out there and all her story out there, and then she can do her crying jag and get all these people on her side, she can push the modeling thing. She can push the music thing. She can write a book. And I wouldn't be surprised. She'll do one of those three things and she will win. She will win. And now you say, well, what? Okay, so since she didn't get the police involved, didn't file a false police report, she didn't commit a crime. That is true. However, here's where her crime is. Her crime is against real victims. I put this out there all the time because people say I'm not compassionate toward victims. No, I hate fake victims because they make people believe that the next real victim is not telling the truth. They ruin it for all real victims, and they take away resources from all real victims. So that's one of the things I hate the most of all, is that they have no respect for real victims. Don't you understand that? They don't care. They have no empathy, zero empathy for people who are really going through something. They just want the attention on themselves, and they don't care who else gets hurt. She also, basically, by saying she is not who she is, and that she might be Madeleine McCann, is accusing her own family of being kidnappers and criminals. That's what she's doing. How horrific is that? No wonder the family wants to disown her. I can't blame them. I think they think she's a lost cause at this point. Now she's gone into all over the internet and onto the media pages, and she's humiliating them by claiming that they're not really her family, that they kidnapped or paid for her. That's not a nice person. Stop believing she's a nice person. She's not. And she's not either. I'm sorry. That's a fact of life. And if you can start recognizing psychopathic behavior and their manipulations, because you'll run into them in your life, not just online, not just in the news story. You'll run into them in your life. They will take you for a whole bunch of stuff. You'll marry them and you're going to regret that. You're going to have a boyfriend who's like that, and he ends up killing you. You're going to really regret that. You're going to get some con artists who'll steal all your crap from you, steal your money. Why? Because you said, well, I don't think that they're lying. I think even though they do this, and this, I should still give them a chance. No, toughen up a little bit. Toughen up. There's a lot of wonderful people out there you can support. Believe you me. I mean, so many people in the world. Go ahead and support victims. Want to spend some time doing something? Go support your local victim center where real victims are. Do that. Go support little children who desperately need somebody in their lives. Don't support psychopaths. Don't give them the time of day, and don't give them DNA tests, and don't give them all this, whatever. But I'm going to say these two are going to show back up, and they're going to continue winning because the public lets them win. All right, so that's the end of my diatribe. And for all of you, I know a lot of people always say, Pat, don't listen to your haters. We love you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I've been hated on for over 20 years since I've been in television and now YouTube. Believe me, I'm totally used to it. It's okay. I'm not always right. And I'm not always graceful, as some people have stated. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I am honest and I'm straightforward. And I am in that kitchen. I can handle it. So don't worry about me. It's okay. I just want to get information out for people to understand how things really are and how things really work, especially human beings and especially psychopathic human beings. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for being here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you like what I have to offer, and I have a lot of crimes that I've analyzed. I have a huge playlist. Please do subscribe to the channel, like this video, share in true crime groups wherever, and we'll see what happens in the future with this case, but I just hope it goes away. That's what I really hope. So anyway, thank you for being here, and bye-bye.